Good afternoon. This is simply a brief statement to react to the government's announcement that retailers will be banned from playing the lotto, buying the lotto tickets in their own stores. It's refreshing to see that how far the OLG has come since the original report in 2007. To give you a brief chronology of what's happened since 2007, we conducted an in-depth investigation of how the Lottery Corporation protects the public from fraud. At the time we were getting close to concluding that investigation in 2007, I'd met with senior officials from the OLG who essentially informed me that the recommendations would largely be rejected. A day before the report was published, the CEO was dismissed, and I'm informed anecdotally that in the months that followed, more than half of senior managers were replaced at the OLG. The old culture was the culture of hold your nose and give the fraudster the check. Since then, since 2007, the recommendations were made public and accepted by the government. There was an overhaul of the operations, but even as time passed by, it became obvious that the extent of the fraud had been underestimated. In February, I was shocked to learn that over $198 million were won by insiders. Now, that sum obviously was not obviously all fraudulent, but is a staggering amount that shows a phenomenal defiance of the odds. As a result, I told the OLG that it was on notice, and they had 6 months to determine if the retailers were an ungovernable lot, if they were able to put proper curbs and controls on insider wins. And if either one of those scenarios proved to be impossible, then I would recommend to the government at the end of the 6-month period that a retailer ban be put into effect. In August, I granted 1 more month's extension as I sensed there was progress on the issue. And a few weeks ago, the Ministry of Finance asked 1 final week's extension, which I granted as well. We nudged the OLG forward on this issue, and we're pleased to see that the government has stepped in and made the right decision. There's a point where enough is enough. There's a point where policing this industry, policing retailers, is a growth industry. And that's not the raison d'être of the OLG. Since 2007, there have been audits after audits, criminal investigations after criminal investigations, arrests after arrests, all types of measures put in place to curb fraud, costing conservatively in the tens of millions of dollars. And as the time passed, the situation got uglier and uglier. It bears reminding the OLG's business is to provide a trustworthy system for members of the public to play lotteries and to draw funds into hospitals, schools, and our communities. Its chief mandate is not to be a security agency. And an inexpensive and practical solution to this problem that we've seen in Ontario is to ban retailers from selling tickets to themselves. The government has taken that step. I think it's a good step. Right now in Ontario, we have the most stringent system in place for selling lottery tickets. And I believe that this latest announcement is a large step forward in improving the system. It's a good sign. It also is a sign, a message to retailers that this measure is to protect them as well. Not all retailers obviously are fraudsters. Not all of them deserve to be painted with that same brush. And this, for once and for all, takes that ambiguity away from the system.
So do you think the government made this decision, or do you think Kelly McDougall made this decision before she was fired?
I have the sense that the OLG was moving towards this decision. but it is the Ministry of Finance in the end that made the final decision.
How do you possibly police something like this, stopping retailers from selling their own tickets?
The only other jurisdiction in Canada that has a similar provision is in British Columbia. And in British Columbia, there's a strange footnote to their prohibition. It's that retailers who still sell tickets to themselves, buy from their own store, can still claim the prize if they win, which to me doesn't make any sense. In the case of Ontario, any retailer who wins after buying a ticket from himself was disqualified from the winnings. How it's policed will be up to the OLG. There are some very serious consequences. We recommended in our report that the OLG have a system of secret shoppers, people in stores buying tickets, checking on the honesty of retailers. The OLG has since as well adopted a very rigorous system to track the retailers and track who buys the tickets. So all these measures together, I think, send a strong message of deterrence. So I'm hopeful that retailers won't try their luck at buying tickets. And then if they do and if they win, they will be ineligible to claim the prize.
Do you think then that this goes far enough? I know you said, if you weren't satisfied, you'd sort of try to get retailers banned altogether from playing. Is this good enough right now for you that you're...
I think it is. We deliberated over this. When we released the first report in 2007, we came very close to making that recommendation. Yet at the time, none of the very simpler recommendations, such as registering retailers, doing background checks on them, were accepted by the OLG. So it was an uphill battle from day one. And our research showed as well that the only jurisdiction in North America or in America that banned retailers from playing was Argentina. So we figured, let's take a wait-and-see approach. But what I found was astounding was the revelation in February that $198 million had been won over a 13-year period by retailers. That, in my mind, demonstrated that we were dealing with a much greater issue than even we had contemplated.
What do you make of the timing of this announcement today? Obviously the government kind of has its back to the wall on a few issues, particularly with this latest OLG scandal. So how do you read this one?
My job is to monitor progress, systemic change. I find it refreshing. I find it encouraging. We were informed a few weeks ago that the government was intending on proceeding this way, but could we provide them with one further extension because there were some house cleaning matters that were going to take place. We didn't know exactly what they were, but in view of that, we gave the ministry and the government an extension. I think I'm just happy we're there.
Monsieur Marin, avez-vous l'impression que le gouvernement agit parce qu'il avait le couteau sous la gorge et que la pression était devenue trop forte de faire un grand ménage au sein de la Société des jeux et des loteries?
Il n'y a pas de doute que notre bureau a monté des pressions assez importantes auprès de la Société des loteries, auprès du ministère des Finances, pour voir ce jour arriver. Nous, dès qu'on a constaté au mois de février 2008 que l'étendue des fraudes était si vaste, il arrive un point où on doit se poser la question, écoutez, la Société des loteries est là pour gérer les loteries. Ce n'est pas un service de police. Donc, il faut prendre des mesures qui sont plus préventatives. Et ici, on voit qu'empêcher les détaillants de se vendre leurs propres billets à leur magasin, c'est une mesure qui est simple, c'est une mesure qui est efficace, qui est peu coûteuse. Nous sommes donc réjouis de voir le gouvernement finalement adopter cette position.